Hello Cancer, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We're looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As I do in all of my readings, I've pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages, as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second. But I still have a different tarot deck I'll be pulling from for each side of the connection, as well as the advice deck I'll be using to close out the reading and the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, take what helps, leave what doesn't. All right, Cancer, let's jump on in. On your side of this connection, you have mirroring with the Nine of Swords. This person brings up, mirrors back, however you want to phrase it, a lot of your deeper insecurities and fears. And I feel like that has created, either in the beginning or still, a really intense draw to this person. I feel like you recognized yourself a lot in this person when it came to like the good and maybe even the bad too. And I feel with this Nine of Swords, because the Nine of Swords can also kind of represent projection, which, you know, the first way we tend to view pretty much any situation is through the lens of our projection, our fear, and our insecurity. And, you know, sometimes when people behave a certain way or treat us a certain way, our first instinct is to say, okay, what does this say about me? You know, this must mean that, you know, they're not treating you well, or if they're doing things to hurt you, you're going to go, this must mean that, you know, I'm unlovable, that I'm not valuable, that I'm not good enough. And we tend, again, to do that when our fears and our insecurities are arising, when in reality, the way that people treat us, or, you know, the way that the things they say, the things they do, has everything to do with them and nothing to do with us. But of course, these are personal relationships, so you're going to take things personally. This person has romance with the Death in reverse. So this is interesting because I do feel like this person has feelings for you, okay? But the Death in reverse is this like refusal to change. It's almost like there are certain things that they do that hurt you, or either do or don't do that hurt you or upset you. And it's like they have feelings for you, but yet they refuse to change their behavior. And that right there is a massive red flag. So I want to dive into what's really going on with that, because I feel like, you know, this is something that I've been talking about a lot recently, especially in love readings, is that someone loving you and someone knowing, and I talked about this before, but someone loving you and someone knowing how to love you are two very different things, right? So you have to look at it from this perspective of like, of course, you know, this person has feelings for you. Of course they love you, Cancer. You're a very lovable individual. You're lovable at your core, but do they know how, or are they willing to show up for that love? You know, do they know how? And if not, are they willing to learn how and change the behavior, do the things that need to happen in order to love you correctly? And right now, they're very resistant to any change. But in between this connection, you have growth with the Wheel of Fortune. So I do feel like this connection is pushing you into some pretty deep growth. And that growth, at the end of the day, is a very good thing. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's leading to helping you move things in a very positive direction when it comes to your love life. However, the universe is asking you to keep an open mind. So keep an open mind about how things are going to play out. When we kind of pigeonhole ourselves into a certain idea of how things are going to unfold and what they need to look like, we kind of close ourselves off to maybe a better path for us, or a better outcome even. So I don't know. That's just the overall energy. Let's jump in, Cancer, to your side of this connection. You have mirroring with the Nine of Swords. is Cancer's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. All right, Cancer side of this connection. Ooh. 9 of Cups and the Tower. Interesting. Okay. And then the 10 of Wands in reverse. Okay, so the 9 of Cups to me in this is really representing like what you're desiring in this connection. And I feel like sometimes this connection is that. Like sometimes it does align with what it is that you desire. But then a lot of times it's the Tower. It's like this feeling of everything is falling apart, these emotionally charged events, maybe a lot of fights. And I feel like it's hard for you because I feel like, yes, while you experience a lot of these kind of Tower moments in this connection, I feel like there are also still glimpses of what it is that you desire. So you're like, well, you know, maybe eventually things can be more what I desire than this. But then you have this 10 of Wands in reverse. And this 10 of Wands in reverse is this energy of taking on the burden of somebody else. So what that can look like is you're dealing with someone who's emotionally unavailable. And you're, while they're emotionally unavailable and they're not treating you well, you're kind of putting up with it, putting up with the treatment, tolerating their treatment, hoping that eventually things change. Therefore, you are bearing the burden of their emotional unavailability. Or, someone has a lot of fear and insecurity, which causes them to push you away. You tolerate their behavior, you tolerate them pushing you away, hoping that eventually you get close, but you're getting hurt in the process. You are bearing the burden of their past baggage. And I'm not saying it's one of those. Those are just examples of how that can show up in connections when you're trying to bear the burden of somebody else, basically bearing the burden of somebody else not loving you well consistently. And I think that that's what this comes down to is like, okay, sure, this person has feelings for you, but are they consistently treating you well? I feel like that consistency is what's missing here. Actually, if it's still on top here, it's not. Well, hang on. Sorry, Cancer, give me just a second. I feel like I'm supposed to take that Tower. So, well, maybe not because I can't find it. So, all right, Cancer side of the connection. I was going to take the Tower instead of the 9 of Cups, but since I couldn't find it, maybe I wasn't supposed to. What does Cancer need to know about their energy toward this person? The Page of Cups. In reverse. Okay. With the Fool. So you're looking for a new beginning in this connection. And I feel like you've been holding on to a new beginning with this person for a while. I don't know if it's like in separation and you're hoping it comes back together, or you've been with this person for a while and you're hoping to like get back to how things were, or I don't know what it is. Or maybe even for some of you, this connection has ended and you're looking for a new beginning in love. But that doesn't seem right. That doesn't feel right even when I say it. It could be though. But this Page of Cups in reverse is interesting. Cancer, I'm going to say something. You probably see this person as emotionally unavailable. But I don't know if you necessarily recognize that you are too, that you're also emotionally unavailable. And their emotional unavailability is being reflected back at you. Now, emotional unavailability is kind of a real tricky thing, which is basically like, at the core of who we are as human beings, we crave love and connection. We want to be loved and connected to people who do that well, who love us unconditionally, see us for who we are, and love us anyway. But then we've got this ego. Everyone, not just you, not just them, every person. We all have an ego. And your ego is where your fear lives, right? Your fear and your insecurity and your trauma and, really the fear and the insecurity as a result of your trauma. And that ego it desires safety. So you have your soul, the core of who you are desiring love, your ego's desiring safety. So your ego desires is repetition of what you're used to. So if at your core, you're desiring love and acceptance and, unconditional love that you've never experienced before, love unlike anything you've experienced before, but your ego prefers to repeat patterns and dynamics associated with the lack of that love, you're going to be torn. Because part of you is going to recognize that you want more than what you're receiving, but the other part of you is going to your ego is going to want to stay in relationships or in dynamics with people that treat you in a very familiar way, with the kind of love that you don't really want, but that you're used to. And this is why a lot of people stay in unhealthy or unreciprocated or toxic relationships for a really long time, is because at the core of it all, even though it is hard and you're unhappy and you're not getting what you need, it's familiar for you. It's something that is very predictable. You know what it's going to feel like. When they let you down or when they treat you a certain way, what that feels like. And a part of you actually prefers that. But I feel like I got a little off topic there because that was just really, I was trying to explain really the concept as a whole of kind of how emotional unavailability comes into play. It's like, yes, you crave and desire love, so you try to bring people close, but you have that fear and you prefer to stay in places that you are used to, so you actually push it away. Well, when we attract emotionally unavailable people into our life, there is actually a part of us who are also emotionally unavailable. When we're drawn to and get into deep connections with people who are emotionally unavailable, it's because we ourselves aren't open to receiving love. So we look for it in places that we know we can't have it. Now remember, 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious. Only 5% of the way we interact with our reality is actually conscious level decision making. So I'm not sitting here saying that you are going, I'm emotionally unavailable, so I'm going to look for someone who's emotionally unavailable, because I know that if I look for love in them, that I'm not going to find it. What I'm saying is that there are deeper parts of you that are driving your decisions, and this connection in particular really brings those to the surface because there is deep mirroring. So the insecurities such as I'm unlovable, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or whatever those things are that actually keep you searching for love and emotionally unavailable people, are being brought to the surface in this connection, which is hard because we are tempted to take those things as truth. We're tempted to say, this connection is showing me that I'm deserving or not good enough or whatever the case is, so that must be true. But that's not actually true. That's what you believe. That's what you've learned to believe about yourself and your love life. So I feel like you and this person, it was very important that you met this person. I feel like they are playing a very important role in your life, but keep an open mind. That's I feel like the most important part here. All right, Cancer side of this connection. Because you're not getting what you need here. That's for sure. Yeah, literally, 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Putting a whole lot of work in and getting a whole lot of nothing. And I feel like that's been a theme for you. Now, again, maybe there's glimpses, right? There's glimpses of times where you're like, oh, this is nice, or this is what I want it to be. But then I feel like there are also times where you're like, does this person even care? Or, is this ever going to be what I want it to be? And there's the moon. This connection brings up a lot of fear, a lot of limiting beliefs. I feel like this person mirrors back to you this belief that you're not deserving of love or you can't have love. There's definitely some deep mirroring of insecurities here. Now, this is where it gets interesting, is when we start to see what this person is dealing with and how it's affecting you. Because, if you guys are mirroring insecurities, that means that one person's insecurities are being triggered, which is causing them to act in a certain way, which is triggering the other person's insecurities, which is causing them to act in a certain way, which mirrors back your insecurities, and it literally is just like this. It's like a beautiful, like a perfect, beautiful disaster in a way whenever that happens. This person's energy toward Cancer. Romance with the Death in reverse. We're getting real technical here in this reading. I don't know why. This person's energy toward Cancer. But remember, with the Wheel of Fortune, this is all happening for you. So whatever, this is pushing you into growth that's going to lead you to good things. And love. This person's energy toward Cancer, which might seem impossible right now. Two of Swords. This person can't make a freaking decision to save their life. That's what it comes down to. Do I commit? Do I not commit? Do I choose Cancer? Do I not choose Cancer? Do I stay? Do I go? Do I do this? Do I do that? And, that indecisiveness, that's not cool. You deserve someone who's sure about you. And I think that that's hard because when you're dealing with someone who's unsure about you, because this person does have feelings for you, right? But I do feel like there's a wishy-washiness, but it has nothing to do with you. Okay, so I'm not sitting here saying this person is unsure about you in terms of they don't know if you're good enough or valuable enough or whatever. This Two of Swords, this feels like this is coming from something different. It feels like it's when you're dealing with someone who pushes away love, which I feel like is typically kind of how this goes. So I feel like that's kind of what they're dealing with. You're really dealing with someone who's not pushing you away, but pushing away really anyone who's going to try to get too close. So it's not you. It's not you not being good enough. It's not you not being valuable. It's this person going, should I let this person in or should I not? Should I choose to commit and make myself vulnerable and open myself up to the potential of heartbreak, or should I shut down? That is so much more like their thing. That has nothing to do with you. That's where the mirroring takes place, right? Is they're sitting here and they're going, what do? I don't know. And you're looking at this through the lens of your fear and insecurity, as we do, and you're going, why am I not good enough? Why won't this person choose me? Why am I not valuable? Why am I not lovable? Even though a part of you knows you are all of those things, this person is making you second guess that because you put a lot of energy into this and it got you nowhere, or is getting you nowhere. Again, sometimes it's the glimpse of what you want, or was a glimpse of what you wanted in the beginning, but then I feel like things started to shift and change, and there's this emotional unavailability factor that I feel like is really affecting the dynamic as a whole. I feel like, and I don't know if you want to hear this, Cancer, but I'm going to say it because I feel it's very important. I feel like you and this person are way more similar than you think. And I think that a lot of the things that they do are coming from a very similar place as you, meaning I'm not okaying this person's behavior, nor am I saying would you act the same way if you were in their shoes, okay? What I am saying is I feel like both of you struggle with the same types of insecurities and fears when it comes to love, and the way that you are handling that are coming out in different ways, but the root of it is very similar, which is why I feel, and I said like kind of like beautiful disaster, which is why I feel like there's this again, you trigger their insecurities, they trigger yours, you trigger theirs, they trigger, and it's just like, it's like, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like that is because, and again with this mirroring, it's almost like you recognize yourselves in each other. And it's terrifying. Meeting yourself is a really scary thing, meeting who you are. But I feel like one of the things that I had to learn in relationships in the past, and specifically relationships that, didn't love me well or didn't treat me like I deserved or whatever the case is I had to look at how that relationship was a literal relationship of my reflection to myself, was a literal reflection of my relationship with myself. And I had to look at how the things that person would say or do were things that I would say and do to me. I was hurting myself through other people by, searching for love in people who didn't know how to provide it. And all of these things is what ultimately led me to the relationships I have now, which are hands down beyond anything I ever thought was possible. But for a long time, I spent a lot of my time and energy dealing with people who made me feel very unlovable, who made me feel like it was like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. And I feel like that's kind of what is happening in this connection, is because you're like, well, I'm trying, like I'm putting all this energy and effort in, and it's like it doesn't matter. And I think that that's what's important, is for you to know that the way that they're behaving has nothing to do with you. However, they are mirroring back at you certain insecurities that you guys are kind of sharing, which is what's making it so... which is making it seem more complicated than it is. That's, I feel like, where it's coming from. It's like, and I'm not saying it's not complicated, but I feel like it's like, that's why that tower happens so often. Or that's why things go from like good to bad really fast. Is it's like, it's not that it's a super complicated connection. It's that the root of the behaviors that you both have are very similar. Similar insecurities, similar fears. It's just that the way that it's being handled is very different. But anyway, this person can't make a decision. This person's energy toward Cancer. And that's not fair to you. Again, you deserve someone who chooses you, someone who shows up for you, someone who is certain about you. King of Pentacles in reverse. This person isn't really focused on the right stuff. Ooh, okay, hang on. Because the King of Pentacles in reverse is kind of like materialism, focusing too much on things that don't really matter. Then there's the Hierophant and the Magician with the Empress in reverse. Okay, yeah. So it's almost like, how do I say this? This person is coming from a very self-serving place. It's coming from this place of, what can you do for me? How can you help me? How can you love me? Instead of, what can we do for each other? How can we love each other? How can we help each other? How can we grow together? Which is ultimately where a healthy connection comes from. But I feel like this person is very focused on like what they can get out of this instead of what, like, how to build a connection together. I think this person's a bit too selfish to be able to be in a healthy connection with where they're at on their like growth journey. Because with the Hierophant, it's kind of like this, the Hierophant, especially with the Empress in reverse, I feel like they're not valuing you appropriately. And it kind of feels like they need a little bit of a wake-up call. Because, like, yes, you should absolutely look at connections and come from this place of, like, you know, is this person right for me? Like, can they love me well? But you also have to be able to say, and am I loving them well? I think that that was something I struggled with in my connections for a really long time, was I was always looking for, you know, people to treat me and love me well, but I was ignoring the fact that I wasn't really treating or loving people well. And it's important to do both, right? To show up in a way where you are treating other people well, where you're loving other people well, but also where you're making sure that other people are doing the same for you. And I feel like this person there's not that reciprocation of trying to do what it is that they're looking for. It's like they have a bit of a wake-up call. They want more than they're capable of giving. There we go. They want more than they're capable of giving. Which isn't fair, obviously. Because if you have that imbalance and you're giving, right? And they're taking, but then maybe giving a little bit, right? That's the glimpses. They give a little bit or they show up a little bit. You get these glimpses of, oh, this is so nice. But you're giving. Slowly, your cup is going to drain because you're giving way more than you're receiving, or you're giving more than what you're receiving. And eventually, you're not going to have anything to give. Because it's like you're in debt, or this person, I guess, is more in debt to you. Like, you've given way more than you've gotten. So then, but they're looking to take more than they give, and that's, I feel like, where it comes down to. And I started the reading with saying this, but yes, this person loves you, or they have feelings for you, but do they know how, and are they willing to love you well? That's what you have to ask yourself. Is this person capable and willing of showing up and loving you in the way that you deserve? Because that's the question that you should ask. It's not, why am I not good enough for them? Or why are they not choosing me? Or why aren't they valuing me? It's, are they treating me like I deserve? I know that I'm treating them the best that I know how. And maybe ask yourself that first. Like, I'm not saying like, were you perfect or are you perfect? Because of course not. You're a human being. But, are you giving as much as you wish to receive in love? And if your answer is like, yes, then it's no longer, why am I not good enough? Why is what I have to give not good enough? It's, is this person capable of loving me the way that I want and deserve to be loved? And that's the hard question, right? Because that's what you have to be honest with yourself about that and be able to say, like, if they're not, be able to say, then is this good for me? Because if this person is coming from this place of insecurity, right? They can't make a decision. They're wishy-washy. They're looking to take more than they can give. That's their own internal battle, right? And then that's going to reflect to you this feeling, all of these insecurities and fears and doubts. That's going to make you second guess yourself. And that's a literal recipe for disaster. So I feel like there's a need for a different approach to this, to look at it from this place of like, the way that this person makes me feel unvaluable or unlovable or not deserving, like those aren't truths. Those are feelings and they're valid, but they're not truths. The truth is that you are lovable, you are deserving of love. But is this person capable of doing that? That was one of the best things my therapist ever taught me, is we cannot take other people's capacities to love personally because it has more to do with them than it does us. This person's energy toward Cancer. Interesting. No communication. Oh my gosh. This person doesn't know how to communicate. It's like they want you to run the whole relationship. Like, if I could explain it, it's like you guys are going into business together, right? And they want a half of everything. Maybe even more. They want like 60 to 75% of the cut of the money that you make. But they don't want to do anything. Or they're like, I'll do this one or two like menial tasks that don't take a lot of effort. That's kind of what this feels like. That's the perfect analogy, actually. It's like they want either like half or even more of the benefit of this partnership, but they don't want to put in that amount of work, right? Relationships really are partnerships. And we have to be willing to look at them as such. I'm not saying they're like business transactions or anything like that, but it has to be an equal give and take. It has to be both people, willing to grow and have that self-reflection and show up as their best self for the other person and for themselves. Like, love themselves first so that they can love the other person correctly. Like, there's so many things where it does take both parties. But I feel as if it's almost like this person is like, I don't want to communicate. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to put in effort, but I want you to do all of those things. And sometimes I'll show up. Sometimes I'll give you a little bit, but not all the time and not consistently. And I feel like that is kind of what has left you going. It's like you're waiting for things to be like consistently good. It basically feels like you're waiting for this person to step up. And like, even though this person has feelings for you, they're not doing so, which is making you feel very insecure and not good enough, which is natural. Anyone would feel that way in your position. So I do feel like there's a need to make sure that you're asking for an equal partnership, to say like, listen, we both desire to be unconditionally loved, and I'm willing to show up with that, but are you willing to show up with that? I'm willing to show up with respect for you and communication and vulnerability. Are you willing to do those things? And you don't need to be afraid to ask for those things because you're absolutely deserving of experiencing those things. But in between this connection, you have growth with the Wheel of Fortune. Remember, you have keep an open mind. We're going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to pull messages looking at the deeper purpose. And then I have an advice card to pull for you at the very end. Thank you so much, Cancer, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Cancer.